Yo, what's up guys? In today's video, we are going to be going over my games that qualified me for the $1 million Clash Royale League. So guys, basically I will be just going over my games, and I'm not commentating live. I am talking about, my thoughts, how I'm feeling, why I did what I did, and that kind of stuff. So yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Clash Royale League is played in a best of 3, what's called duels format. And basically what duels means is that you just can't repeat any cards that you previously used in that same best of 3. So as you guys see here, we were playing Logbait, so I was not able to play any more Logbait against this player specifically right here. But then against another opponent, I could go ahead and use Logbait again, just not against this guy. So guys, here we are in the first match here up against Soniko, and at this point, I was already, I want to say 4-0 in sets, and you need 7-2 to qualify. So I had to win this set and then 2 more after to ensure my qualification. So I was actually doing really good. I was 4-0, 8-1 in games. I was actually feeling pumped, man. I was playing really well, and so we started off with Logbait here, and the reason we started off with Logbait was just because it's one of my best decks. No, it is my best deck, and, I am very, very comfortable with it. And I also felt like this guy's deck pool wasn't too great against Logbait because he wasn't really using Log in his Hog Rider deck, because I know this guy and he plays typically Hog Rider with the Lightning, the Delivery, and the NATO, and I knew that was his best deck, so I thought that if he were to go up against me, he'd play his best deck, and I was right here. So we actually had a pretty good matchup going into this, and I was already up a lot of damage, so I just go for the Wall Breakers other lane, knowing that he couldn't defend the Wall Breakers and the Dark Goblin. He chose to defend the Wall Breakers on the left instead of the Dark Goblin, so we got a bunch more damage, and we were already looking really, really good to win the first game at this point. But obviously nothing is ever confirmed, especially since my Logbait deck doesn't have any spells whatsoever. It was obviously a very losable position, and definitely nothing was confirmed yet. So here I knew this would be the hardest push to defend, if not one of the hardest, because I knew he had the Evo the Evo Exi and the Evo Knight. So I go for my cannon and Valk to push that over. The reason we did it like that is because if you have the cannon there, he can't lightning my tower and the cannon, so I knew it would be kind of annoying. And then we go for the Dark Goblin here outside of the lightning radius to make sure it doesn't hit the Princess and the Dark Goblin, which he just ends up lightninging the Princess, which I didn't really agree with because I did feel like that he didn't really want to do that. So we just go for the Goblin Barrel plus Wall Breakers, knowing that he only has guards and cycle for defense, and we get some pretty nice damage, and we're just making sure that we pressure him on both sides so he wasn't really able to build up a push in here. I knew that if I defended this push, I won. I go for the Evo Valkyrie here, and he NATOs that back, and then I just put my cannon in the anti-lightning spot again, and as you guys see, I activated my King Tower, man. So his NATO ended up activating the King Tower off of our Evo Valkyries, which was really cool. And then I go for the Evo Barrel plus Wall Breakers here, just to pressure him on both sides, and once again, I get another Wall Breakers connection. This guy was kind of getting rolled at this point, and honestly, I knew that I had won basically right after that missed tornado. I just go for the Valkyrie here, and I knew that he would have a really, really hard time defending this push right here with the Goblin Barrel with the opposite lane Wall Breakers. Oh, wait, I didn't Wall Breakers. I definitely should have, just to block that cannon, but I got some nice damage right there against the Executioner still. Only 500 HP left, and I knew that this right here would be kind of the last push to stop, so I go for the early Skellies just in case he goes for the NATO, because I didn't want to Valkyrie into the NATO and let him get free Executioner damage, and now I Valkyrie. Really good NATO by him, but unfortunately, the Executioner didn't have enough HP, so we just keep on pressuring with the Dark Goblin here. Goblin Barrel, Wall Breakers, and Ice Spirit, because I know that he's not able to Royal Delivery both of them, so I was just able to get a bunch of Dark Goblin damage, and then the Dark Goblin ended up taking the tower, leaving me up 1-0 in this best of 3. So, right now, I was kind of debating what I should choose, but eventually I settled on Royal Giant, because I thought that with his cannon plus guards out, it would be kind of hard to counter Royal Giant, because I feel like some of the best counters to RG are just, cannon, guards, and that kind of stuff. The really quick cycle decks that can cycle a lot of, buildings, guards, and that type of stuff. And you guys will see, I was pretty right. He just goes for the Goblin Drill first place, so obviously I just countered it with my guards. I knew there was a 99.9% chance he would have the Evo Snowball. Goblin Drill is just always paired up with the Evo Snowball nowadays, and we also had the Wizard Evo in our RG deck, just because Wizard is so solid right now in the meta. I was really, really confident going into this match with this deck right here, and I obviously wanted to get to my Evo Wizard as quickly as possible, because I knew that against these types of drill decks that don't really have log in them, and they have just like Snowball plus Poison, Snowball plus Rocket, Snowball plus Fireball, I knew that the Evo Wizard shield is really, really hard to break. Usually they have to end up spending like a Valkyrie just to break the shield, and then I can just yank it away with the Fisherman and that kind of stuff. And because he spent so much elixir right there, I decided the best course of action would just be to RG the back. I knew that this RG wouldn't get any damage, but my main goal with this RG was to just cycle to the evolution, because the evil RG is really, really nice to knock back those Valkyries, take out skeletons, and that kind of stuff. So, also, I knew that I was going to force out a lot of elixir right here, because he didn't really have the greatest cycle. He didn't have the Little Prince, and he didn't have the Valkyrie to cycle directly into it. Obviously, he had the Valkyrie back after the Tesla, but his Tesla was pretty weak up until this point, which caused him to have to spend 10 elixir instead of just the normal 8. I just got a +1 trade overall from that, and I got to my Evo Royal Giant, so that was a really, really nice trade for me. And this was kind of surprising to me. He cycled the Little Prince in the opposite lane. I was just confused by that, because I felt like that was just a free Evo Wizard, and at least with the Little Prince, it would force out the Monk ability, and then he did that drill, and I'm like, wait, I'm just going to let that drill connect to my tower, and then I'm just going to go for the RG to block the Little Prince, because I knew that this would be really, really tedious for him to stop, especially considering that I have the Lightning, and he didn't know that I had the Lightning yet. I knew he'd have to Tesla, and I thought that I could get a really nice Lightning here, which I actually did get a beautiful Lightning, man. Valkyrie got taken out, Tesla got taken out, and I get a nice RG shot on the tower right here, and the Wizard was obviously kind of just dominating him, like I said before, how I knew the Evo Wizard would be really good in this matchup. And then I E-Spirit predicted the skeletons. I literally said out loud to my coach, he's going to skellies right now, and I got them, and he was like, wait, because he kind of knew at that point that I was just locked in and I was playing really, really good. So I went Monk here, and I knew that he had the Evo Snowball. I once again said, okay, he's going to Evo Snow, and then I just logged. That's why up until this point, I literally haven't taken any damage. I was just in this guy's head the whole match, I felt like. And then I just go for the Wizard here, knowing that he would probably go for the Poison, but I knew that if he poisoned, I could go for the RG in the back and just reset. One thing you guys may notice is that I'm never really going for naked RGs to bridge. The only time I've really played RG is when it was either in the back or after, like, I defended something and then I was, like, supporting, say, a Wizard, a Fisherman, that kind of stuff, because in a matchup like this, realistically, you just want to play on the counter push. I got really unlucky right here with that Fisherman yanking to the drill, but I also knew that it didn't really matter too much and that I should just reset because of that. Obviously, it would have forced out more elixir and I might have been in a better position, but I was already doing so good. I knew there was no point to worry, no point to panic, and I should just keep on playing cool, calm, collected, and I would probably win this game as long as I didn't choke. So I just had the log ready once again for the snowball, and then I just logged, still having taken no damage so far. And then I went for the Monk ability right here. Maybe it was a second early. I should have let it take out the Skellies, but it was okay. I just went for the E-Spirit here to stun the Valk, and my Fisherman from the left side, guys, ended up yanking the Valk, and then I Wizarded at the bridge to take out the Drill, and then I didn't Lightning on top of the Little Prince because I knew that I should probably defend the Valkyrie. I knew that there's no point on letting the Valkyrie connect. Obviously, I could have gotten more damage with my Royal Giant if I went for the Lightning, but I knew the only way I choked the game is if I overextend on offense. So I just made sure that I wasn't doing that. And then I just went RG Lightning the bridge, and I predicted the Skeletons with the E-Spirit, which was absolutely beautiful. And he had to Evo Snowball because of the E-Spirit prediction on the Skellies. And then I just reset again with the Evo Wizard in the middle. And this guy, man, I just felt like I had him under lock the whole game. Like, it really just felt like he really had no chance. And then I just quickly went Monk Evo RG at the bridge, and then I knew that he was going to Valkyrie, so I went for the Fisherman to predict it, and I actually got it once again, but that was a really good Evo Tesla by him, which ended up stopping it, sadly. And then I knew right here he'd have to go for another Tesla because of the Little Prince 3-card cycle. Fortunately, he didn't get the Tesla down quick enough, and I get a nice RG shot. So then, at this point, I knew that all I had to do was cycle 2 Lightning. So I cycled Lightning number 1 right there, and then obviously back to defense. So I just went for the guards here. And dude, for some reason, that Berserker just got yanked up, man. I'm like, huh? And then I just logged on defense, and then I Lightninged. And this was probably my most dominant win of the whole tournament. He only got spell damage the entire match, leaving me 5-0 in the tournament, 10-1 in games, and only 2 wins away from qualifying. Alright guys, so in the next duel here, I decided once again to start off with Logbait. I think at this point I was 6-0. Yeah, I think I was 6-0 at this point. Maybe I was 5-0. I don't really remember, but I do know that I decided to start off with Logbait once again. The reason I decided to start off with Logbait once again, because you're maybe like, damn, this guy just plays Logbait in every first game. I actually didn't, but I did feel like that with how I was playing in the last match, I'm like, wait, if I just use Logbait, nobody's beating me. It doesn't matter what matchup I get. Nah, I mean, it did matter, obviously, but I did really have confidence in myself that even if I got hard countered with Logbait, which I actually did end up getting countered pretty bad, I did believe that I would be able to win it. I did force out the Mortar right there with the wall breakers, which was nice. So then I just went for a Fire Spirit here just to distract the Mortar. And then went for the Goblin Gang on top of the Cannon Cart. Here I was really hoping to full counter the Mortar, but for some reason the Cannon Cart had other plans, and I ended up taking a shot from the Mortar, sadly. It was not the end of the world because obviously one Mortar hit, who really cares, but of course, you know, I wanted to take no damage. I Goblin Barrel in the front here in case he goes for, like, a Goblin Gang or a Guards, and I do actually get some damage because of it, which was really, really nice, and because he has the Evo Skeleton Barrel, guys, I knew that this was not going to be easy, so I knew that it'd be really important for me to get to my evolutions as soon as possible, so I just went Wall Breakers on the Goblin Gang instead of going for, say, my Princess like I could have normally. I just wanted to make sure that I'm getting to my Evo Wall Breakers very quickly, because Evo Wall Breakers would be a very, very strong defensive tool in a matchup like this. It would help me out a lot against the spam cards, because I don't have any spells, so I just knew how nice it would be. I split my gang here because he had Skeleton King in cycle, so I knew that if you went for the Skeleton King, then obviously you wouldn't counter the whole thing. And then I went Barrel the back, and I get some pretty nice damage right there. He saw it in the back, so he went Ice Wizard, but because it was tanking for my Spear Goblin, I got some extra Spear Goblin damage as well. Then we just Golden Knight here. I kind of had a feeling he was going to Arrows, and then I Princess, assuming he'd ability, and he actually did, so I used my ability as well, because if you guys didn't know, Golden Knight is actually invincible while it's dashing onto things, so I knew that the Golden Knight would do a really, really good job there on defense. Right now, I was pretty happy about the match, but I also knew that the worst was yet to come. I knew that he would have the Evo Mortar and the Evo Skeleton Barrel, so I'm like, okay, good damage, but I also knew, like, okay, well, I still need to defend, because obviously in this matchup, it's not getting damage is what's the really difficult part. It's not getting steamrolled once they get to their evolutions. That's the hard part. So right here, I Dark Goblin because I wanted to just have a little bit of pressure, you know what I mean, for when he builds up a massive push. And then I go for the Tesla here on the Skeleton King. I knew that he's probably going to go for the Evo Mortar once the Golden Knight dies, but at the same time, I also thought that maybe if I barreled here, he wouldn't go in, but then he ends up going in anyways. I do get some nice damage, which I was happy about, but I went for the Goblin Gang just to keep tanking, and then went for the Fire Spirit, and then Golden Knight. Right here is where I think I messed up. I think I should have went for the Evil Wall Breakers instead of the Goblin Gang, but because I did it like this, I did feel like that I kind of got overwhelmed a bit, because as you see, he does the Skelly King ability, and then I do the Dark God Princess, so I don't lose my whole tower here, but obviously, I feel like if I went for the Evil Wall Breakers, then none of that would have ever happened, and I just end up taking a lot of damage. It was okay, but definitely not ideal. I just go for the Golden Knight Goblin Barrel here because I obviously know that I need to keep up the pressure, and then he missed the arrows, guys. He missed the arrows. I popped the ability here just to get on the tower for some free damage, and then my Princess hits, so just like that, I'm nearly in the damage lead. I just go for the Princess down low on the side, and then quickly Tesla. I did know that he could maybe Arrows, but I also thought that it would be kind of a bad play. But then he went Arrows, guys. He went Arrows, so I Golden Knight the bridge here. I knew that he was going to block, but what I do is I go for the Goblin Barrel here with the Evo Wall Breakers on the left, and then I Fire Spirit in case he ganks. And then, guys, look, he goes for the Goblin Gang, so I pop my ability to go up all the way to the tower. But then, look, on the left side, I took the tower. I would have won no matter what, because obviously the Golden Knight would have went all the way up to the tower, but thankfully, I still ended up winning on that left side. And here I'm thinking, like, wait, there's a chance he could go for a RG deck, but there's also a chance he could go for some type of lightning deck, because I thought that with Logbait Dark Goblin out, like maybe like a Mega Knight Ram Rider with the lightning, or like a P.E.K.K.A. Ram Rider with lightning could be kind of a solid deck choice, because usually, you know, bait kind of destroys those heavier beatdown decks. But then I also thought there's a chance he'd go RG, because I knew that RG was his best deck. RG was going to be a little bit of an annoying matchup, because obviously if he defends really good, he has the Evo Wizard, he has the Monk, which can be kind of tedious because almost every card in my deck does get deflected by the Monk. But on the other hand, I also knew that with perfect gameplay, I could just pressure him so well that the Monk just wouldn't get proper value. Here, I saw the Fisherman, so I just went for the Spear Empress to back, knowing that the Spear Empress would take out that Fisherman. But one thing that I was worried about is maybe his Wizard getting too much value, but he Monked the back, which I don't really agree with, honestly. I feel like that was kind of a bad Monk, if I'm being honest. I think he should just went for the Wizard. But because of that, I did go for the Defensive Mortar. I was thinking that he would go for the Wizard, but then he, like, I don't know why he did that, man. The ability was so early. Then he did the Wizard, too. I feel like he just kind of did, like, the worst of both worlds. But I knew that I needed to pressure him so he wouldn't go in the beginning of the game. I just go for the Skelly King plus Guards, and here I knew I had something good. So I Skelly King opposite lane. I knew that he'd need to defend the left side with potentially a Log, and right side, you know, he goes for the E-Spirit. So here he goes for the Guards. Bad Guards placement because my Guards got on the tower, and then I popped the ability just so he'd have to use his Log. And the reason I wanted him to use the Log there is just because more Elixir on defense is more time that, you know, we stall out single Elixir, because obviously, you know, it's 2 for 2, right? How is that a bad trade? Well, it wasn't a bad trade for him. It's just more that single Elixir is the kind of time where I can lose the game really easily if I'm not careful. So I wanted to force out as much elixir as possible to make, you know, single elixir last, I guess, less time, have less elixir flowing through single elixir. Then I just go for the guards here on the monk. I thought that was a bad fireball, so I decided to go for the mortar here on the right side because I knew he'd stop to defend those guards. Otherwise, he'd take a little bit of damage. He goes for the RG on the right side, so I just go for the Evo Skelly Barrel knowing that I was going to get some free damage from the guards and the Evo Skeleton Barrel popping, and then I go for the Empress, and the reason that I did the immediate Spear Goblins is because, as you see, he had to log on the left side, so obviously I knew my Spear Goblins would kind of be unattended on defense, only taking 2 hits, but I got so much damage for those 2 hits. But here is where I knew it would be hard because I'm kind of locked into one side, as you guys can kind of see, right? I have such a big damage advantage on the left side that going on the right, he's just going to end up ignoring the damage and not defending. I do go for the Evo Mortar here, just kind of knowing that I need to set up an early defense. Right there, he did a bad ability. I just don't agree with it, man. He only blocked a bit of the Mortar. Then I just Skelly King as well, just to keep defending, but also, I knew with the Skelly King, he'd be kind of forced to defend a lot, so then I could just counter the RG very, very easy with a Spear Empress plus Guards combo. I've also just been chipping him out a lot with the Skeleton Barrel death damages. You know, almost every Skeleton Barrel has reached the tower. I thought it'd be best to let that RG hit the tower one time, just so I don't overspend. I go for the Mortar defensively, knowing he'd monk the bridge, and then I Skelly Barreled opposite lane, just so he couldn't RG on the right, and as you see, that kind of stops him from RGing, because he had to Fireball on the Skeleton Barrel, man. That is not a positive elixir trade, as Orange Juice would say. He even had the Fisherman to continue blocking the Skeletons, and here, I'm just still being ruthless, constantly keeping up the pressure, just forcing out more and more elixir every single sequence, never really just letting him build up the push that he kind of needs to make to win. And then I just arrows on the Evo Wizard Shield, and I was kind of hoping for a guards hit, but sadly I didn't get it. It happens though, man, it happens. Then I just get another defensive mortar down to try to keep being annoying, because these defensive mortars are really nice. They just don't really let him get anything going. I go for the Spear Gob's guards knowing he's going to log, and then I go for the arrows. I was debating between arrows and Ice Wiz, but I decided on the arrows because I knew that the mortar would shoot the left side. Sadly though, guys, he's actually making a comeback. Well, he was making a comeback, and then I go for the Evo Skelly Barrel, just forcing out the Wizard. I knew that he'd have to Wizard on it, but I was hoping to maybe get a bit of Skeleton Barrel death damage. Sadly, you know, I didn't get any, but I did force out 7 elixir right there, which is obviously huge when he's needing to still make more RG pushes in triple elixir. He couldn't just full defend like you guys may think, because my deck just pressures so well and so hard that it would literally just be impossible for him to take no damage. And right here is when the tides kind of shifted. I went for the Skelly Barrel just to force out the Wizard, and he actually did go for the Wizard, which was really nice. I went for the guards again just because I knew that he wouldn't really be able to take them out, not really having the greatest answers in cycle. Then I went for the Empress on the left side, and right here is when I'm like, wait, there's no way that he can win now, because I'm just going to pressure him on the left side, and I knew that he wouldn't be able to spell my Mortar, spell my guards, and defend the Spirit Empress. So you see he goes guards and E-Spirit on the Empress. I Skelly Barrel too, and then my Empress actually gets a hit, man. Clutch Empress hit right there, and then I go for the Spear Goblins. I go for the arrows. Skelly Barrel once again gets another Death Bomb damage, and then I just make sure to preemptively drop the Ice Wizard, guys, and that left me with another 2-0 win, man. I was just dominating at this point. I went 18-2 total in games, which is really, really cool. And you know, right now I was either 5-0 or 6-0. I don't really remember, but I was doing amazing, guys. In the next duel here, we were up against John 77, and at this point we were 6-0. I double checked and I got confirmation, and basically if I won this duel I would have been qualified. And all I really had to do, man, was win one of my next 3 duels to be guaranteed in the next stage of CRL. So I was feeling pretty good, man. Up until this point, I had only lost 1 match at the very beginning. Obviously, no duel sets, but just 1 singular match. I guess I just wasn't playing the greatest when I first woke up, but yeah. So here, once again, we have Mortar bait like we used against our last opponent. One thing that I did a lot today, which I was kind of happy about, was I was using a lot of similar decks, and usually that's not something to be happy about, but I do feel like that normally I feel like I try to switch it around too much, and I usually don't end up being able to get the greatest matchups because I'm just changing my deck so much that people don't even bother trying to even think about what I'm going to use. So I feel like using similar decks all the time, I kind of just trusted my skill level with some of my best decks, and it kind of worked out nicely. But in this one here, we are playing with Mortar against Graveyard, and as you do know, Mortar bait does get countered by Graveyard decently well, but I know this matchup very good, and here I do a nice play. I Skeleton Barrel here, guys, just to get to the evolution. I know that in this one, because he has vines instead of the like, I guess, Tornado, Berserker. Basically, he has Poison, Barbarian Barrel, and Vines, that it was going to be really, really difficult for me to break through. So I knew that I was going to have to be really, really, really locked in to be able to win a matchup like this. But at the same time, one thing I did know is that I know exactly how to play these types of matchups. And basically, you just need to be really, really aggressive. And you need to be abusing the Spirit Empresses. Because against this guy, Spirit Empress works really nice because of how the Furnace is in this matchup. Furnace is normally really good, but because the Spirit Empress fully shuts down the Furnace, he has to do, like, a little bit of awkward plays like Goblin Huts in the middle and stuff like that, and I can try to abuse that, because when he has the Goblin Huts in the middle, sometimes I'm able to get really nice arrows value on the Goblin Huts plus Furnace and that kind of stuff. So here, I was kind of just a bit lost on what to do, but I had a good idea. Here, I go for the Evo Skeleton Barrel, wanting him to try to get back to another Goblin Up because he has no Furnace. But because he has Vine Spell, man, he was able to just Vine Spell plus Barbarian Barrel my Skeleton Barrel every single time he didn't have Goblin Hut, which was really annoying, honestly. It was just working really nicely for him on defense. Here I go for the Evo Mortar just so he couldn't go for that Graveyard, because if he went for the Graveyard there, he would have been cooked. And then I Skelly Barreled just to block the Furnace. Smartly by him, though, he did put it low, as you see. But then I can just go Guards here like I did to protect it, which was kind of good by me as well. And then I did a nice Spear Empress to try to snipe the Furnace. Although it didn't snipe the Furnace, it forced out the Poison, and I ended up taking out the Knight as well, which is great. And here I was yelling, one hit, and I actually got the hit, guys. That hit was so important for us because it forced him to drop the Mortar low, which was really nice. Sadly, the Mortar targeted the Berserker, and when I said Mortar low, I meant to say Furnace low, because now he just wasted, you know, obviously his Evo Furnace, and I knew at this point in the game he was only going to get one more Evo Furnace. There was no way that he was going to get two in my mind, so I just go for the Skeleton Barrel here, just keeping up the pressure. If you guys haven't noticed yet, he hasn't played like a single Graveyard up until this point, so I knew it was a really, really good opportunity for me to try to, you know, get some more damage, because once it comes to triple elixir, I knew that he was going to be able to spam a lot of Graveyards. Here I go for the Guards in front, and then I just wait for the Ice Wizard. I made sure some Skeletons spawned in first, and then I even went for the Spear Goblins, guys. I was not playing around on this Graveyard defense, man, and then I go for the Skeleton King to retarget. I took one Skeleton hit, I think, maybe two. The Vine Spell last second, man, kind of cooked me, but then I snuck the Evo Skeleton Barrel in front of the Empress, which was so good because he wasn't able to defend properly, and I get nice death damage, so I'm still ahead in damage on both lanes. And the Skelly King on the right, guys, I was like, oh my god, the Skelly King, because I didn't even realize that it was there. And then I go for the Spear Goblins here. Even though I knew he could get a really nice poison, I just needed to keep up the pressure as much as possible, and I just needed to not let down. So I even started a Skelly Barrel in the back, and right here I'm like, okay, I need to double arrows on the Evo Furnace, because otherwise I'm not really going to be able to take it out. That Skelly Barrel in the back, guys, was really good, because as you see, he does Barbarian Barrel now, but I already had another Skeleton Barrel down, so now he had to waste Vines on it. So then I just blocked the bridge, knowing that he can't Graveyard, and here I'm just pressuring really hard, because I know that the easiest way for me to lose is just, you know, letting him get two Graveyards. So here I go for the arrows on the Graveyard. I took no damage, which is nice. I go for the Guards, but, dude, the Graveyard was spawning like crazy. I went for the Spear Goblins, and then I go for the Skelly Barrel. And actually, because he had to poison on defense, guys, because of my nonstop pressure, I ended up winning the game because he couldn't poison to finish me off. And, dude, I was just in awe with how I won this, and I honestly didn't even make it look too hard. So going into game two, my strategy here, okay, this was interesting. So I know that this guy liked to play Logbait, and he liked to play Mortar Bait. As well, one other thing is that he liked to play Minor Rocket. So here I was scared of him having Minor Rocket Log Delivery because of Minor Rocket Delivery actually countering Royal Giant when they have the Dark Prince, which he used the Dark Prince. So here I went for Royal Giant, knowing that if he went for Minor Rocket Delivery here, he wouldn't have it for my Logbait deck in the third game. And if he didn't go for it, then I was sure in my mind that I was going to win the third game by just using Graveyard, because Graveyard would obviously counter that if he didn't use it and I happened to have lost. But if I wasted Graveyard and he didn't use it and then I lose, I would have just been so cooked. So a bit of behind the scenes deck strategy right there, and I actually got a wizard shot right here, which I was so happy when I'm like, oh, wizard hit, and I was actually screaming, man. I was such good vibes at this point, man, because I was on like a crazy win streak. Right here, though, my cycle was kind of garbage. Looking back at it, I think I should have fishermaned on the right side and then monked. Obviously, I managed to get out of it, though. I popped the monk ability here, and you'll see right here why I shouldn't have done the monk right away. And you see, the Spirit Empress isn't in range of the tower, so I just lose my whole monk. Obviously, I didn't need the monk to live, but what I didn't want, obviously, was for to have to defend the Empress again. But right there, he did a bad Mortar. And here I did a really heads-up play with that RG in the middle to obviously walk up and defend the Mortar, but also tank for the Spirit Empress. And I ignored that Ice Wizard. I didn't want to waste my E-Spirit because I knew that with my card cycle, him having a lot of bait cards could get really dicey. I do get a nice RG hit there, though, kind of just relieving the damage that I just took from the Ice Wizard, which was great. In this matchup, I know it's very, very winnable. As you saw, I played this matchup from the Mortar side and won. The only difference is that I have Goblins instead of Guards, which I would say Goblins are a little bit worse than Guards because they don't defend as well. But what I do have, instead, I have Rage instead of the Fireball. Rage helps against Spear Goblins, the Skeleton Barrel, and it is also decent with the Evo RG against the Guards, you know what I mean? So here I just go for the Rage. I didn't even take that much damage, man, and I got a nice Fish Slap right there to stay in the damage lead. So every time I've lost a damage lead so far, I haven't really lost it for too long. Here I Monk in the middle. I Monk in the middle instead of Monk in the back, just in case he pressures me opposite lane at the same time. I need to be making sure that he's not, you know, able to go in, because if he Mortared right there, then I could have just used my Monk to defend the Mortar. And here I just go for the ability plus RG, knowing that the Spirit Empress was going to die. I didn't really expect anything here. I did go for the Fisherman to yank that Skeleton King, and then I quickly Raged. Those are really bad Spear Gobs because I hit the Mortar and I hit the RG, so I do get one nice hit right there. Up until this point, I haven't really made any mistakes yet. I'm still just defending well. Here I go for the E-Spirit Goblins behind the tower to cycle, and then I snuck an RG. This was a really good RG, guys, because I knew that he didn't have a Skelly King in hand, so the Fisherman is going to be a pain to block. So here I got a nice Wizard, and then I did the immediate Rage, which was beautiful because now he still had to defend. I just logged here. I don't think I get any damage here yet. I didn't get any damage right there, but I wasn't really too stressed. I was just thankful that I was forcing it so much elixir. And right here, I knew I was up a lot after him going for that Ice Wizard. So I just cycled my E-Spirit in the back in case he went for the Skeleton Barrel again. And then I just cycled my Monk once again in the middle. These Monk to middles are kind of key. You guys may have noticed that I haven't started like a single RG in the back. And that's mainly because when I start the RGs in the back, I feel like it gives him really good opportunities to pressure me and then just defend with a card like Guard. So here I just log because I have the Evo, so I can just Rage this up, and he can Guards, but obviously if he goes for the Guards, it's just going to get knocked back crazy by the Evo RG plus Rage combo. And here, man, I just knew it was kind of over because in my mind, there was no way that I was choking this game. And then that Wizard even got a beautiful shot as well. So I've just played this game, honestly, just flawlessly. He goes for the Evo Skeleton Barrel, so I knew that I just had to save my log for defense, and I knew that it would also go up and hit those Guards and potentially the Ice Wizard. And it actually did hit the Ice Wizard. I was kind of laughing at that. I mean, it didn't, sorry, and I was kind of laughing at that. And then I go for the E-Spirit just to bring that back, just to make sure that we keep my Wizard alive, you know what I mean? And then I quickly went for the Goblin's RG, knowing that he had no Skelly King. One thing that you guys may have noticed is that every time he had no Skelly King in hand, I went Goblins plus RG, because he'd have to waste the arrows on it, but then he wouldn't really have the most elixir for the RG defense, and I won 2-0, guys, so that was perfect, and at this point, I was 7-0 guaranteed qualification. So for the final duel I am going to be showing, it is against Greeko, the 2024 World Finalist. This is like a World Finals 2024 match right here. So guys, we started off with Graveyard, and honestly, I had been using a decent bit of Graveyard in this tournament as well. Sadly, you guys just haven't seen all of my games. It's impossible to show them all, man, when I played 20 total matches, so I just kind of showed, you know, the best duels and stuff like that. So here I start off with the Knight. Once I saw the Zap and the Goblin Curse, I kind of already knew that it was going to be Bridge Spam or Goblin Giant. The Skeletons kind of led me towards Bridge Spam, and then I saw the Boss Spam, I'm like, wait, this is the old Bridge Spam deck from like 1 to 2 months ago with the Evo Furnace and the Spirit Empress, and I'm like, what, he's using that? So here I go for my Witch because he didn't have Zap or Curse in cycle, so I knew his cycle for this would be kind of chopped, but then I got really surprised by that Rage right there. I dropped the Berserker. Sadly, it wasn't quick enough. Although it didn't really change anything, I'm like, wait, what? Why does he have Rage? Because normally this deck plays with Barbarian Barrel, so I knew that that meant he subbed out Barbarian Barrel for the Rage, but what I also knew is that I knew his duel set would have Graveyard in it, because if he has no Bar Barrel in this Bridge Spam, that means he's saving his Barbarian Barrel for a Graveyard deck, because right now, the only really Bar Barrel decks are Graveyard, RG, and I guess this Bridge Spam deck, but I know that he always uses his RG with the log. So because of that, right, just knowledge on the player, I knew that he would have Graveyard in his set. So keep that in the back of your head, guys, the Graveyard. Here I just cycled my Goblin Hut. Didn't want to overthink. The reason I put it here, not one to the left, to immediately start shooting the Empress is because I didn't want the like Ram Rider to not pull if he went opposite lane. Right here, we're in a pretty interesting matchup. This matchup looks bad, obviously, because he has Goblin Curse, Spirit Empress, Evo Furnace, but it's actually good. If you guys watch my best of 11 with Muhammad Light video, I actually beat Muhammad Light in this matchup with just like Ice Spirit instead of Vines, and then Furnace instead of Witch. So I was very confident here. I just went for the Knight plus Vines on defense, and then I go for the Goblin Hut. Having the Vines just gave me like extra spell damage potential, like better chances to come back, easier time defending, and easier chances to push. So it's literally the matchup that I beat Muhammad Light of all people in, but easier. So I was really happy to be playing this matchup right here. Although, like, it's not easy to play. Like, obviously, I still have to play really, really solid because one mistake on defense and, you know, our game can just be gone. But I trusted in myself to be able to defend well enough. Right here, I just go for the Vine spell, I believe. Yeah, I just get a really nice Vine spell. I get extra damage on the Boss Bandit, which is great. The tower being frozen, too, just let the Boss Bandit just get slammed, man. Although, right here, I go for the Berserker, then Evo Witch, but I don't know if I should have, like, went for the Barbarian Barrel earlier or not, because right here I think I take a oh, I didn't take a connection. Okay, never mind. Sorry guys for spoiling a bit, but I do actually end up taking a bit of damage. I guess I accidentally leaked it. Here I go for the Goblin Hut. The reason I went for the Goblin Hut over here is just because I didn't want him to snipe it with the Furnace in the same lane as the Empress. I wanted to kind of force him to go other lane if possible. Here I go for the Witch, and then I go for the Evo Knight. Do I? Oh, well, I should have went Evo Knight right there. That's why I take damage right here. I go for the Evo Knight, then I go for the Barbarian Barrel. I also should have went for the next Goblin Hut and just been like, screw it, let me sack the Goblin Hut, but I didn't. Although it was okay because he didn't have Goblin Curse in cycle, so here I went for the Graveyard plus Berserker. I knew now that he was back, but I also knew that if I go for the Vine spell like I did, then his Boss Bandit was going to get completely rolled, and then he had to spend extra elixir on the Witch, so he wasn't able to fully take out the Graveyard. So I got a tiny bit of Graveyard damage, and right now, as you guys can kind of see, his cycle was completely cooked, and I knew that. Basically, because he doesn't have Barbarian Barrel, my Witch is really hard for him to kill, because he has to curse zap the Graveyard with the cycle that he's in. Because by the time he gets to the curse every time, I'm just going for the Graveyard, so he's not able to take out my Witch. And as you see there, the Witch just kind of rolls him, and I get some very nice damage, take out the Empress, and he had to Boss Bandit. But not only did he have to Boss Bandit, the worst part for him is that he had to Boss Bandit on the Witch skeletons, not even the Witch directly, so the Witch just ends up taking it out. I get another poison here. I'm mainly just spell cycling at this point, but I do go for the Graveyard because I know that I can get a nice Vine spell on top of it, and just get nice value with the Graveyard. And yeah, the Witch just ends up taking out the Spirit Empress, which was really, really good for me. Then I just go for the Goblin Hut here. Right here at this point is where I knew that there was a chance that I could lose. I knew that I just had to save my Vine spell for the Ram Rider, which I did. I just Vine spelled right here, and that secured the win. I just go for the Knight on defense, and I have Ram Rider for the next. And the entire match, I only took one charge from a Ram Rider that now watching back, I know that I could have avoided, but I kind of dominated this match regardless. Just having the Vine spell was really nice. I managed the Goblin Curse really well, you know, not letting him get too much value, and I was able to get a beautiful victory. And here for game 2, once again, guys, I go for the Mortar Bait deck. You guys have seen so much Mortar Bait in today's video, but the reason I went for Mortar Bait was because he used Goblin Curse, he used Rage, and he went for the Evo Zap. And I also felt that, like, if the chance that I got countered with this, one, I would have a really good chance for outplay, but I also knew that in the third match, I would have a really good spread of matchups with him having Graveyard out. So I was really confident here using Mortar, because I knew that the only way that he would counter me without that bridge spam deck was with Graveyard, and sadly, he actually did go for Graveyard, so I knew that this wasn't going to be an easy match. If you guys saw the last Graveyard deck was not easy for me to beat. I played really, really good, and I still somewhat struggled. And then now here, instead of being against John77, who's, you know, a good player, I'm against Greeko, you know, the best of the best, one of, you know, the best players in the world last year, still one of the best players this year, so I knew that this was not going to be easy, but I knew that I am really, really familiar with Mortar Bait, and I knew that I'd be able to have a good chance. So I went for the Skelly Barrel there, just knowing that he'd probably have to go for the Goblin Hut, which I was right, and he did, which was very good, because now he didn't have, you know, a Goblin Hut for the Mortar, and he had to go for the Ice Wizard. Here as Spear Goblins, I knew that he was going to Barbarian Barrel, but it's all about just forcing out Elixir and getting to my evolutions in the beginning of the game anyway, so I just don't really mind, you know, like letting him do these kinds of things. I just don't really care. Sadly, the Ice Wizard got a shot, though. I'm like, damn, bro, no way. So I cycled the Ice Wiz back here, knowing that he's probably going to set up an Evo Witch push, but at the same time, getting the Evil Witch out is nice because I knew that in single elixir, he literally just can't graveyard since I don't have the Cannoneer Tower. Because if he goes for, say, a Knight and then a graveyard, he literally just won't have elixir to be able to poison my guards. So I was kind of sure that in single elixir, he would just not be going in. But just in case, I went for the Skeleton Barrel on the left because then he truly wouldn't be able to go in with the poison because he has to defend the Skeleton Barrel. And right there, he does do the Goblin Hut because he didn't have the Barbarian Barrel back in cycle, because he used it on my Spear Goblins earlier, which was a really, really nice play right there. So that, like, getting that Barbarella out kind of set us up for a future offense, which was kind of cool. And then here I just go for the Mortar again. I went for the Mortar because he didn't have the Evo Witch, but he also didn't have, like, the Goblin Hut once again. So I just wanted to be, like, really, really annoying. Here, I know to let the Mortar go, but I'm still, you know, just setting up a defense just in case he tries to go in. But basically, guys, one tip in this matchup is that every time they use their poison, they just can't graveyard because they can't kill your guards or your Spear Gobs. I'm just still keeping up the pressure. Dude, one thing that was rough about this matchup, though, guys, is that the Vine Spell was so annoying because every time that I think I'm going to get through, I just wasn't because of Vine Spell. But if you look on the left side, guys, I was getting so much Ice Wizard Splash, which was good because that actually put me back in the lead, which was beautiful. And then I just go for my Spear Gobs, then Skeleton Barrel here. I didn't want my Spear Goblins to die because I really, really needed him to, you know, spend more elixir on the defense. One thing that I did have going for me as well is, if you guys didn't notice, this was my first time playing with the Cannon Cart instead of the Spirit Empress. Cannon Cart is better against Graveyard than the Spirit Empress. Like, not in terms of defense, because usually if you use either of them on defense, you're usually in a rough spot anyways, but on offense, it was nice. Okay, then I go for the Skeleton Barrel here just to keep up the pressure once again, since he did have to spend 8 elixir on the Witch. Once again, you guys may have noticed he hasn't used a single graveyard, but I knew that Greeko's defense was solid enough to win with maybe 1 graveyard and triple elixir plus defense, so I knew that I definitely had to keep it up and just constantly just keep pressuring and try to slip through some way, somehow. Here I was honestly just getting kind of worried because I'm like, dude, I literally just can't get through. I went for the Ice Wizard here, though, and I kind of had a feeling he was going to poison this, and I knew once he poisoned this, it would be not the greatest looks, but he did a bad graveyard. I go for the guards here, and I think that's when the tides kind of shifted a bit, is that graveyard. I went for the Evil Skelly Barrel, knowing he's going to be able to just go for the Goblin Hut, but why I think that shifted the game is mainly because, if you look, he spent 6 elixir on the Skelly Barrel, and even though, like, I didn't get any damage, and I'm still not going to get any damage, I just felt like it was going to be really awkward for him to set up another graveyard push, which obviously he needed another graveyard push. I go for the Skelly Barrel here, just continuing to pressure. He goes for the poison, so now I know there's going to be at least, you know, 4 cards until he can play the graveyard again. So I just Skelly King the back, knowing that I need to still get some damage because obviously his defense is still going to be really, really solid as one of the best players in the world. So I start cycling arrows, actually, and this is going to show to be a really, really good heads-up idea by me. So he poisons again, just, you know, trying to control the tempo of the game. One thing that I did know, though, is that he doesn't exactly need poison to attack. It's just very preferred because obviously he has the vines, but the thing is, the Spear Goblins and the Guards combo does work if he doesn't have poison, but the only factor is that, you know, he won't be able to kill Spear Goblins and Guards. And if you look on the right, guys, if you look on the right, I got so much damage. I go for the Guards. I Ice Wizard inside the graveyard. I even go for Spear Goblins. I know he's going to Vine, so then I went for the arrows, and I actually won, guys. I did end up winning on, I think, both lanes. Yeah, I won on both lanes, so it didn't matter about the right side damage, but obviously it secured me the win. And guys, I was able to go 9-0 in CRL today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support. I love you guys. I'll try my best again tomorrow, and have a great day, bro. Thank you all for watching. Like and sub if you enjoyed. I love you guys. Bye.